Hello, humane marketers. Sarah Znakrocha here. Welcome to another episode of the Humane Marketing Podcast, a place to be for the generation of marketers who cares. This is the show where we talk about marketing your business in a way that feels good to you, is aligned with your values, and also resonates more with your conscious customers because it's not pushy, ethical, and also beautiful. So if you're a regular here, you know that I'm organizing the conversations around the 7 Ps of humane marketing. And if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. You may want to download your one-page marketing plan with the 7 Ps of humane marketing in the form of a mandala at humane.marketing/one page, the number one and page. So again, humane.marketing/one page. And with that, with no further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Andy, it's so good to see you again and have you on the Humane Marketing Podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It is lovely to be with you again, Sarah. I love talking to you, so I'm excited about this. Yeah.
We always have great and deep conversations. And so I couldn't think of a better person than you to talk about this concept of slowing things down and the question whether a slow business is a humane business and what all of that involves. So it's good to have you here. Why don't you explain a little bit how you got into this concept of being a slow business coach? It's been a few years now, and yeah, how has this evolved for you, and how does it feel in your business, and how do people react to it? So explain it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's something that I didn't necessarily set out to do or to be. It's just something that has evolved really over time of like working with people, and I've always worked with introverted and highly sensitive people. So those who I guess find the pace of modern life maybe a bit overstimulating at times, and so there's been like this necessity of slowness for the sake of people's nervous systems, and just being able to focus and get clear on what's important and what isn't, and all of that kind of thing. But also there's been this, I guess, increasing awareness in me that this is really bad for all of us, and this whole mentality of move fast and break things, which has come from this sort of tech world and is an appropriate tool in many situations in that world, but it seems to have kind of permeated everything, and so there's this very reactive energy that I just feel in the world around me, and that kind of comes into me, and it's in people, and this need to be productive, and all of these words that you obviously use a lot, and you're sort of rebelling against in many ways in what you do. And so I guess what I do is help people identify, where is that energy taking me away from what I want to be doing and who I am, and the impact that I might want to have with my work or in my family, in my relationship, whatever it might be. And then to, kind of put into practice ways of, slowing down and making space for the important things, and to make space to do the things that matter more slowly as well. And this twist on the old productivity thing of like do more in less time. I think I love the idea of doing less more slowly, because it allows you to go deep, and it allows you to get into the depths of it and the richness of it, and to do what you feel is important and that kind of thing. So yes, so I have a community that my Haven community is the real hub of what I do. So kind of coaching and group. I'd say workshops. It's not really workshops. It's more sort of spaces to gather and to explore together. And yeah, everything kind of flows out from there. Really.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's so good to hear, because it means already that you're not just, the crazy one who came up with this term and people are like, what is he smoking? But it really shows, no, there's people who resonate with that, and they want to be in community with others that want to look at business more slowly. And I love what you said. It's not just slowing things down, but doing less and doing those things even more slowly. So it's really the doing less part, I guess, has to do with creating the spaciousness for other things as well. And that's kind of what I talk about in the Business Like We're Human book. It's not just this, creating spaciousness to then, like back in the days, the 4-hour work week kind of approach, where you then just, spend your money by sitting on a beach somewhere in the Philippines. It really is creating spaciousness to be more human, to have the time to reconnect with humans or with nature, or to become an activist, or, like spaciousness outside of your business so that you can do the things a human wants to do, and find that. I think almost like if we don't create that spaciousness, we don't remember what, as humans, we could also do instead of just working.
Yeah,
What does that
absolutely.
bring up for you?
I mean, and I think what you emphasize and do so well as well is integrating that spaciousness and slowness into the model of how you do business.
Right,
And I think that feels like, you think about the 4-hour work week, there's almost this separation between the work. You like plow everything into this part of your life so that then you can do this over here.
right,
And while I think, you obviously want space around work and not to be working all the time, actually there's something that you can bring into the work that you do and the business that you're building that puts that spaciousness and the approach of slowness and marketing like you're human into that thing itself as well, so that there's you're bringing the whole of you to the whole of what you do. And so yeah, that kind of, when you were just saying that, kind of brought that up for me, and the modeling of a different way of doing the business itself, and thinking about business and thinking about what your business is enabling, both in terms of what you're maybe producing or the service that you're offering, but also in the lives and the model that you're setting, and the example that you're setting to those who do business with you, and how that can become a contagious thing that spreads. And yeah, that sense of slowness or spaciousness or stillness that people might take away from an encounter with you,
mm,
then goes out into the world. And I think, as I was saying before, there's like that other energy that I feel very strongly at the moment, where that sort of hustle grind culture, like, and the 4-hour work week, do things really fast. It doesn't matter what you do, but just make money so that you can then go off and do your own thing or whatever. Like
right.
that's a very palpable stress energy that I think also is contagious and spreads and leaves us feeling a bit, I don't know, pulled in all sorts of different directions, overwhelmed, burning out, all of those things. Yeah.
I think it's kind of part of the old business model where we are working ourselves, to exhaustion, and we're working so hard, and and then we hear this idea of working less, and so we squeeze even more into maybe less time, and then obviously we're so exhausted that we then need that rest. But that's not what, to me, like a business like We're Human looks like. It is, like you said so well, building the slowness and the spaciousness into the business so that I don't feel exhausted, and then just need to lie on the beach. I still want to be able to have the energy to use my time that I created, the space that I created for other things, whether it be, yes, to refill my own battery by being in nature, but also by giving back. I think that to me is an important part. Is we talked just before we started to recording, and I said, like, business as usual is, I'm so tired of that concept, because it really is the time where business should not be as usual anymore. And we do have, kind of this responsibility also as entrepreneurs to, to find solutions, to come up with creative ideas on how we can make this world a better place, for lack of better words. But that's really what this is about. So I think, would you agree that the innovation and the creativity also needs that space? What have you seen with your community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love making space for collaborative
Mhm.
innovation and creativity as well, and seeing what emerges. So one of the things that we do is what I call a phrase maze, where we have a monthly theme. So this month, we're recording this in February. Our monthly theme is confidence. It's a very, very broad theme, and then kind of break that down into, what are some phrases or idioms or quotes or ideas associated with confidence that come to mind, and then kind of take them, break them down a bit, try and play with them and talk about, okay, what does that bring up for you that's going on in your life at the moment, and those kinds of things. And then how can we maybe play with this creatively? Is there a poem in this? Is there some kind of painting or a song or whatever that you could just have a go with playing with, experimenting with? And both in the discussions that we have and then the sort of follow up creative expression, you just see things that you would never be able to imagine coming up from the outset. And I love this sort of experimental approach to life in general, but like trusting, trusting the hive, trusting the collaborative potential that, and when you talk about, solutions to issues and the importance of business being involved in looking at the wider picture of how the world is right now and thinking, what role do we play in kind of changing the direction that we're maybe moving in, or creating a better future, or whatever it is. Actually, I think collaboration, working with one another as partners, whatever that looks like, whether that's a business partnership or just socially doing stuff together, um, with a within values and with a vision or whatever it is, that actually that's so important. And again, that turns business as usual on its head, because I was, seeing, I won't mention who it is, but like there's something going on at the moment that I'm looking into that is it's this extraction that business people have to see. Like the old way is seeing opportunities, being opportunistic, and thinking, how can I capitalize on that and turn it back to me and make money from it, rather than how can I be part of this movement? How can I, contribute to this? What does it need from me in order for this thing that I connect with and believe in? Maybe it's an idea or like a social movement or whatever. What role can I take in that makes me part of it rather than makes me possess it? And I think that is, really important to start seeing business through that eye, through those eyes as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up collaboration, and this movement from me to we that I mentioned in the
Mhm.
book as well, is kind of like, it's so aligned with slowing things down, because in order to collaborate, you do need to slow things down and actually let relationships develop, right? Because the old way, and I'm, definitely raising my hand here, the old way was affiliate marketing. That was like the big thing. And it's like, oh, we are collaborating, but we weren't really collaborating because we were just trying to tap into each other's reach to get more money for each of us, right? And yeah, that's just not humane, whatever, ethical even be.
Mm.
So in order to actually, yeah, create and nurture these relationships, well, you need time. An email exchange is not going to create a relationship, a trust-based relationship. You need to invest the time in it. So that's another thing that is part of the business. But if you don't have the spaciousness to invest there, then it will always be transactional, and you will not actually be able to, you know, collaborate or create a movement or create a community, because you don't have the time. You're always short on time, and you're always, yeah, struggling to create more transactions, really.
Mm. I think it's such a good point. Yeah, that transactional, because it is, yeah, that affiliate model, or you work with people to combine audiences or whatever it is. But yeah, ultimately it's I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. And
Yeah.
you don't have time, as you say, for like relationships and, anything really valuable at a human level in life takes time. And it takes a lot of that liminal in between space that is not controlled in the sense of being outcome oriented, or like we've got to achieve this in the time that we are together. It's like,
Mhm.
actually, you think about the most meaningful friendships, they're full of just time with and just time being. And again, like some of these gatherings that we have, it takes a huge amount of I guess, faith in the process, or just allowing, almost surrender, just allowing things. Okay, whatever is going to come out of this is going to come out of it, and I can't contrive it or control it from the outset, but I can trust that, like, whatever will be here. And the more I've experienced doing that, the more surprised I've been, and the more like interesting things have come out of gatherings, or conversations, or whatever it is.
Mm.
But it's
Yeah.
really difficult to remember that. Like, you're like, right, need an agenda, need a structure, and it's like, yeah, structure can help with keeping things going to a certain degree, but it's like you need to know where planning becomes over planning, and it actually suffocates what might come out of it.
Yeah. I talk about this new business intimacy, and that exactly what you're talking about? Is like, usually in business, we have this way of being, which is very task oriented. Like, even if we do collaborate, there's, a way to collaborate the old way, which is like, okay, here's the agenda, here's what we need to do. It's all about the doing, right? Instead of, uh, yeah, allowing the time to just be and get to know each other. And yeah, that takes courage. I think that's the word came up when you were speaking. I'm like, it takes a lot of courage to, bring this new business intimacy where we're all wired to think, well, business should be this way. Business
Mm.
should be transactional. Business should be professional. Business should be, a certain way. And so all of a sudden we come along and we're like, we're, gonna do things slowly and more relationship based. And
Yeah.
and it's just like, people are like, what? What's going on here? But I think, yeah, to me, that's a business like we're human. That is like, we're actually being humans in our business. And it's also more humane to us, because then our business is just an extension of who we are.
Yeah,
And as
absolutely.
solopreneurs, isn't that what we want, right?
So, and it speaks to, I always remember something that you said in a workshop that we did a while back, which was just because it works, it doesn't mean it works for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's something important when maybe having conversations with people about, like, why would you set up your business like this, or why would you approach your business like this? Because actually business as usual, or these old ways, still work to some degree, or there are these things that work, and actually putting in that bit, but it doesn't work for me. There's something about
Mhm.
that, yeah, it doesn't fit who I am or what I believe a business should contribute or should be doing in the world. Um, and so I love that little, it's an invitation to gentle rebelliousness. I think I see it as, because yeah, it allows you to put yourself and your own beliefs and your values and the things that matter to you at the heart of your business, rather than being like, what are these strategies and tactics that everyone else is doing that do maybe make a lot of money, or they make bring quick results or whatever. So, but how do I feel, or how would I feel if I achieved that in that way? And it's like,
Yeah.
and from past experience, I feel a bit icky, and I feel a bit like, oh, I don't. That didn't doesn't feel good to have done it like that. So
Right.
what would feel good to me? And to me and to lots of people, that kind of the slowness, the relational, um, yeah, that spaciousness. Actually, how can you make a business work with that at the heart of it? Is the question.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, like the first two books, Marketing Like We're Human and Selling Like We're Human, were very much about our ideal clients and bringing this, gentleness and humane approach and ethical approach to our ideal clients. And Business Like We're Human is going to be more about us being in this business, and like you said, yes, finding out what works for us, right? And feeling humane and not exhausted and overwhelmed in our business, so that we can actually do our life's work. And I used the peace sign as kind of part of the journey, because the idea is really to find your inner peace so that you can then bring change to the outer world. Um, how do you see the relationship between inner peace and slowness? What have you seen from your community, from your clients? Yeah, is this part
Hmm.
of the journey?
That's a great question. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I like to think in, I guess, spirals and circles rather than straight lines. And
Mhm.
so that when you talk about the journey, it's a kind of coming back round, and like, what comes first, the inner peace or the slowness? And it's all a mix, and it's all
Mhm.
kind of, yeah, you're experimenting with things that bring you, I suppose, bring you to a place of how we're defining inner peace, maybe integrity, um, a sense of satisfaction with how I am doing things, or what I have let go. And I think that's a big part of the equation, is being at peace with the things that you don't have the capacity or the time or the energy to do, and almost actively letting those things go. Because obviously slowing down requires this admission or this acknowledgement that I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And there are loads and loads of things that I would love to be able to do. It's not just, pressures that other people are putting on me that, oh, you need to do this, you should do that. It's like, no, there's loads of things in life that I would absolutely love to have a go at, but I can't. I'm a finite human being. And so really coming to a place of peace with that um, is important. And yeah, I think there's a there's a point of I guess, calmness and satisfaction in, again, the gentle rebelliousness of letting go of things and of saying, do you know what? These are the things that matter. There's just a few sort of real keystone ideas or things that are part of my business or part of my life that actually they're my focus right now. They're the things I'm committing to, and everything else can fall away, and that's okay. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that answers that question, but
Yeah, no, it
yeah.
totally does. And it made me think of the word busy, how this is such a common word that we kind of throw
Mm,
around like a badge of honor that is part of the business world. Oh, if I'm busy, that means I'm successful, or that's how it's perceived. And so, kind of making peace, making inner peace with this idea of um, maybe not wanting to be busy or wanting to be what I start to say now is I'm busy with life. And so that kind of, can people can decide on their own, well, what does that mean?
mm,
Because if you're saying I'm not busy, well, people see that as something very bad and they're like, oh no, I'm so
yeah,
sorry. Like, it's like, oh,
yeah,
your
yeah.
business is falling apart. You're not busy. So just making peace with this busyness thing and saying, well, I'm not busy, but I'm very focused and I have very much clarity around the things that I do want to invest my time in. And and so it's yeah, it doesn't give you this overwhelmed energy of that busyness does actually.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, the words that we use are so impactful, aren't they? Like, and yeah, I'm very aware of someone says, how are things going? It's like, well, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Like, why have I said that? But yeah, and also the yeah, really focusing in on the things that you want to do in the way that you want to do them. So like recently I've been doing a lot more kind of hands-on, uh, I guess, creative. So I've been doing a lot of collaging, which I've been using. We have like a community zine that I put out once a month, and so I've been doing that for that.
Mm.
But I also want to do more of that for like blog post kind of featured images and things that until now, like constantly thinking like, oh, what's the most efficient way to do that? Or like social media posts, like how can I do them quicker and all of that kind of thing. And obviously, generative AI is a big part of that question as well, or the conversation there of like how can you do things more efficiently and be more productive and get more out there and all of that stuff. And actually, yeah, I'm kind of asking that question of myself: is that useful? Does doing more and doing it more quickly give me more satisfaction or like a sense of connection to what it is that I'm doing? Um, and if not, what do I want to do more slowly? Again, coming back to that question, actually, I want to put some time and my humanity into some of these things that we're being promised we can do quicker if we take our humanity out of it.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate, when you can tell that somebody has really put themselves into a blog post or even a social media post. It's like, oh, I can see the human there. And I
Mhm.
think it's becoming more and more obvious, like, however, AI is getting more advanced, but there's still something of the uncanny about it that is often quite evident or identifiable. And so I don't know, I just see there's this moment that we're entering now where there's this call for more humanness and there's an appetite for it, whether we're consciously aware of that appetite or not. We see people and it's like, oh yeah, I want people. There's a human there. And I just find that, yeah, really attractive and compelling.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up AI. That was going to be my last question as well. It's like, how does that,
Jump the gun. Yeah.
play into all of this slowness where everything we see out there is more quicker and more efficient and got to do more, right? So, yeah, I love how you brought that up. And then also the need for the human connection. And I think that's what we're both doing in our communities. And I think that's really a big part of business like we're human, to bring in not just the humanness in text, because again, that can be easily replaced by AI. But the humanness in like real connection, even, obviously it's going to be still using technology, so online, but also there slowing things down. We recently started introducing meaningful questions in our meetups. So they're based on a deck of cards by Thomas, who I've interviewed recently, and they're called Who cards. And so we pick two cards, and they have meaningful questions on them. And so we just have, basically half an hour conversations. And these questions are not business questions, they're personal questions, right? But it allows the community members to, yeah, to really get to know one another and to talk about their worldview and things like that matter in terms of building these relationships, this new business intimacy. And yeah, even if I think about how I used to sell my workshops or programs and how I'm selling them now. Like before, it really was a transaction, click here and, buy now. And now for the Marketing Like We're Human program, no, I am always wanting to talk to the person, right? It's like this business intimacy is like, well, yes, it's a group program, but I want to, get to meet you. And I think that kind of approach people will start to look for and see, am I being heard and seen, or am I just, a number and people just want the money?
How have you found that? Because I'm aware of again a conditioning that we have. When someone wants a conversation, especially in a business context, like I go into sort of they're going to want to sell something to me because I'm so used to it's almost the whole persuasion or influence
Mhm.
movement of like, you need to get on the phone and actually talk to someone so that you
Right,
can force the sale.
right.
And obviously it's the opposite of what you're doing, because it's like, I want to connect, and I'm the same. I want to sort of, reach out, have a human connection with people.
Right.
And I wonder, have you experienced people's, sort of
Yeah,
poised
it's
readiness to,
actually inbound, so I'm not, proposing this
yeah.
conversation, but it's an option on the sales page. So
Oh,
they
perfect.
know
Yeah.
that is a conversation. They pretty much already decided, yes, I want to join, but there's no way they can just buy now.
Yeah.
They have to sign up to talk to me. And then I don't have to, I'm not selling anything because they've seen the program details, and they basically just want to find out, am I a good fit for this program? Oftentimes they just want to meet me and, have a conversation. And so that's what we do. We just have a conversation, and then sometimes it's about figuring out how can we set up a humane payment plan. So it's very, I think it really lowers or it calms people's nervous systems because they
Mhm.
know what to expect. And so giving them so much information up front and then just saying, hey, you want to talk about this? I know this is a great program. I've been running this for many years. Let's talk about it if this is a good fit. So that's usually how it works. I know I see what you mean, like by imposing this conversation. I don't think people would, yeah, they would probably be like, no, she wants to sell me something. And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, yeah, that's the reputation that business has, right? It's like, oh, you're gonna pitch me your stuff.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
so
it's
I think
interesting.
what would work in this case is picking a specific topic and say, how do you feel about what's happening in the world or this specific thing,
Mm.
like what we just addressed right at the beginning, before we started recording. Uh, like that would be a great topic to reach out to someone and say, hey, what's your what's your take on this? Have you seen this? And then just have a conversation. But then obviously not come and at the end pitch your
Yeah.
program, but just
Yeah.
connect.
I
Yeah.
love that idea. Yeah, and that sort of resonates with the who cards, as you're saying as well.
Yeah.
And the it's like exploring the prompts that we do, where actually they might feel irrelevant to business, or they might feel like, what a waste of time. You're talking about something that's irrelevant to this thing
Yeah.
that's really matters. And it's like, actually, that thing will come up if it needs to come up.
Yeah.
And these are like, train tracks along which the conversation goes, and you'll see the things that are in that environment around people as they start to talk, and then you might explore that, and it might give rise to something completely unexpected, as we were
Yeah.
saying earlier. So yeah, I really love that.
Yeah, one more thing I just thought of that I started doing is like when I have an open workshop where I invite people outside of the community, I don't offer the recording for this workshop only to members. And so I do get some pushback every now and then for that because people are just not used to it. They feel like, well, everybody else is offering a recording. Why aren't you? And and my answer is that I really, this is not just content. This is not just
Mm.
information. It really is part, like what I'm trying to show is the business like we're human. So you're coming in as a human and you participate and you get into breakout rooms and have conversations with peers about this topic. And so being in the in presence on Zoom is actually really important. I understand that in terms of everybody's lives and time zones, sometimes it doesn't work. But then you're really not like just by getting the information, you're not getting the actual message of
Yeah,
of that event or
there's something
workshop.
more to it, isn't there? Yeah,
Mm,
which is, you can't put into words the difference. It's like, so like with the zine that I mentioned earlier, which is called Coming to Our Senses. I've been doing, there's like a PDF of visual version that I put out each month, but I've also done audio and video versions. So I, compose some music and then narrate what's the content
mm,
from the zine over the top, and it's usually about 40 minutes long. And so we have a session on Zoom together at the end of the month where I just play that video and we just sit
mhm,
together and watch it. And yeah, people have mentioned like having watched previous ones just on the sort of YouTube video, and then coming to their first live session with it, like the difference it makes being there with others watching it live, and whether it's sort of the fact you're not being distracted by a million and one other things, um, or it's you're aware that you're in the presence of other, like there are people all around the world there at that same time doing the same thing as you, and or something else. Like it's really difficult to pin down exactly what it is, but the meaning of it and the way that it lands in people is so much more than if they're just watching a video on their own. And
for
I think that
sure.
speaks to
Yeah,
what you're saying there as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm.
Um, I guess one of the final questions would be like how entrepreneurs who are listening to this and are like, yeah, I could definitely use some more spaciousness in my life and business. What would be like a first step that you would tell them to something to look at in their business or something to do or not do, probably?
Yeah. Oh, a first step. Um, I think, and you, I mean, you say it all the time, but sort of just allowing yourself to notice what matters to you in what you do and what brings you satisfaction. And I've been exploring this word satisfaction with a coaching client over the past uh, sort of 6 months or so, and different sources of satisfaction. And yeah, really reflecting on, what's the most satisfying thing to you about the way that you approach your business? What's the most satisfying thing to you to hear from a client? What is satisfying, at the end of a day, like what has happened in a satisfying day or whatever it is, like just, yeah, thinking about those different levels of satisfaction.
Yeah, I
And
like
then,
that.
yeah, building a picture around that.
Yeah. And then doing Marie Kondo on all the other things that you're
Yeah,
doing and are not satisfying, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah, because it's like the question of boundaries. Are you moving towards, if you move towards the things that are satisfying, will the other things just fall away?
Mm,
Or do you need to actively extract certain things? It's most likely a mixture of both. But I
hmm
think, yeah, for me, the starting point is moving towards the things that,
hmm
that matter most and doing things in the way that I want to do them. And then actually those other things might naturally just, oh, I'm no longer doing that.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. I don't need to bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then, I mean, you're such a creative. You compose your own music and talking about collages and all of that. So bringing more creativity, like just giving yourself permission to be more creative in your business. I think that comes with that permission of letting go of the shoulds, like we are
Definitely.
like copying so much of what other people are telling us to do. But if you realize, oh, but that is not actually satisfying, then just going into this permission of, well, what if I do it differently and more creatively? How would that, yeah, give me more satisfaction, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your creative voice,
hmm
just allowing that to bubble up and be part of the way you express yourself through your
hmm
business. And humor as well. I think humor is
Humor.
a,
Yeah.
a big part of that. Like
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
things that make you laugh, doing things that, yeah, you
Yeah.
find
Playfulness, silliness.
playful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people
Cool.
connect to that. Absolutely.
Lovely. So good to talk to you, Andy. Please do share about your community and where else people can find you.
Yeah. I mean, the best place is the Haven. So the-haven.co. Everything, I've kind of brought everything that I do with this in respect to what I've been talking about today under that banner now. There's, yeah, a bunch of free stuff there. You can join the community, join us for some live events and things, and get the podcast through there. Um, yeah, just head there. Thank you, Sarah. This is yeah, it's been such a delight to talk to you, and I love talking about these things in this way. So thank you for this invitation. It's been lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the listeners who slowed down with us and are still listening. So thanks again, Andy, and we'll stay in touch and speak soon.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching and being part of a generation of marketers who cares for yourself, for your clients, and for the planet. We really are change makers before we are marketers. So go ahead, be the change you want to see in the world. And I hope to see you again next week. Take care.